Elementary. We are a designated Title I school. This is what our meeting agenda will be today. We don't want to take too much of your time this morning, but we do want to just make sure that you have all of the information and the knowledge needed to just make sure you feel good about the resources that we have provided to us and what you have as a parent and what your children will be provided here at Grandview Hills Elementary because of our Title I status. So we're going to talk a little bit about the law ESSA, what economically disadvantaged and at-risk students means. We'll talk about our school-wide participation, some mandates for school-wide programs, parent and family engagement requirements, some notifications that we'll send out to parents throughout the school year as part of the requirement for being a Title I school. And then we'll take some questions at the end. So Miss Medford, our Title I interventionist, is actually going to launch us today with a pop quiz. And this is just, she's going to ask some questions. If you have access to the chat, you can go ahead and pop your answer in the chat. We'll give it a few seconds after she shares the question, and then we'll let you know the answer. And this is really just to give you some information about some important details about Title I in Leander ISD.
So our first question is, how many Title I campuses are there in LISD currently? How many do you think? We have lots of schools, a lot more than are written right here. Ooh, I see 10. What else? Anybody else have a thought? Okay, well, our answer is 6. We have 6 campuses that are currently in the LISD Title I program. So that doesn't seem like a lot, but considering our schools and what we're going to go through in our slides, it is exactly where we are, exactly what we need. And we'll hear more about that as we continue on. Number 2. Currently, GHE's EcoDis average is, we're not even sure what that means, maybe, but what do you think our current EcoDis population is? Anybody got a guess? I heard an A, 38.5. Ooh, okay. D, 40.8. Nice. Anybody else got a guess? It is 47.9%. And we will hear again more about that as to why that is and what those numbers mean as Drew and Alex go through our slides in a little bit. Number 3. Okay, a school is eligible to be served as a school-wide Title I campus if our EcoDis numbers are above 40, above 75, above the district EcoDis average and below 40, and have been granted this Ed Flex waiver, or A and C. D, she says. I hear 2 Ds. Well, I think we have some winners here on that one. D is the correct answer. It is both above 40%, and if we need to have a waiver on that, you can apply, schools can apply for that, and if they get approved, there we go. And our last question. The LISD does not utilize our Title I funds to A, support parents and family engagement strategies and initiatives, B, provide supplemental programs to support student learning, C, provide meals for students, D, fund payroll costs for supplemental personnel and positions. Nope, D is not correct because I'm actually paid through our funding through Title I. So pick a different answer. See if you can pick a different answer. I see a C. Anybody else? B. Great guesses. C is the correct answer. We do not provide meals for students. We'll tell you more how that works into, because you're thinking, wait a minute, we know we have free and reduced lunch. How does that play into it? Again, we will find that out through the rest of our slides. So this is why we wanted you to know all these things, because some things you know, some things you don't know. And Alex and Drew are going to share our slides with us and really help us to be more informed about what Title I does for Grandview. Thank you so much for participating. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Miss Medford. We appreciate you. And yes, like she said, she is a support personnel on our campus. Miss Medford provides intervention for some of our students who qualify. And it is a really great opportunity for us as a Title I campus and to utilize some of those funds that we receive from the state. So just a little bit of information. Mr. Herbert is going to share what some of those background pieces look like, and then I'll give you more information about how we utilize our programming funding.
So Title I, like Ms. Peoples talked about earlier, is also something called ESSA, is the acronym, Every Student Succeeds Act. And the purpose of that law is to make sure that we're able to strengthen our schools to be able to focus on that student achievement piece. And so making sure that all kids on our campus have that fair, equal opportunity to obtain and receive that high quality education here at Grandview. We want to make sure that students reach at minimum proficiency on our state curriculum criteria, our TEKS, and also on our state assessments, the STAR test for when you reach third, fourth, and fifth grade. And so with that, Title I is from the federal government, and they provide money to districts that then get sent out to campuses based on a number of factors. And one of those main factors is census data. And so the district then designates schools that meet the criteria in order to qualify for Title I for ESSA, based on, again, a number of things, including economically disadvantaged students, determined by the number of students, the population of students that are on free and reduced lunch applications, among other things. And like we talked about earlier, in our little pop quiz, Grandview, our eco-dis population is 47.97%. And so with that criteria of above 40%, we meet that criteria in order to qualify for Title I. And so the funds are allocated. They're spread out based on the number of economically disadvantaged students. The students that are served are those at greatest risk of not meeting academic standards or passing the STAR, the state assessments. And so the funds go to campuses where there's the greatest need, and then the students that are served for academic standards and things like that.
And that's where Miss Medford comes in. She supports our students who have not passed the STAR assessment, or sometimes who are identified as being at risk. So she's a great resource for some of our students here on campus.
And so Grandview is our campus is a school-wide program. And so a Title I school-wide program is allowable when a campus has a minimum level of 40%, and allows us to use those funds to upgrade the entire program for the whole campus, in order to raise the academic achievement for all of our kiddos. And like we learned about a little bit earlier, in some instances, campuses that have that rate below 40% can apply for something called an EdFlex waiver. But considering that Grandview's at that 48% and the threshold's 40%, that qualifies us as a school-wide program for all of our kiddos.
All right. So when we are a school-wide program, that gives us the opportunity, like Mr. Herbert said, to support all of the students on our campus. It doesn't mean that we can only support students who qualify for free or reduced lunch, or who live in an economically disadvantaged household. And so what this requires from us is that we conduct a comprehensive needs assessment that's based on our data from the school year. And this comprehensive needs assessment is actually what we utilize to create our campus improvement plan. Okay, we knew that that might happen. It looks like, let's see. Okay,
Presentation, but we can't change
but
the
we can't
slides.
change the slides. Can somebody please unmute if y'all can hear us still? And just let us know.
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we, like I had mentioned, we knew that one of the computers was probably going to restart for us and do some updates. And so we tried to prepare a little bit. We are going to get the presentation up so we can actually change the slides.
Sorry, y'all. Thanks for bearing with us. All right, there we go.
Okay.
Sorry, make sure to present. And oh no, okay. One moment, y'all. Thank you. Almost back.
Thanks for your patience.
Okay, so like I had mentioned, we do have some requirements that of us because we are a school-wide Title I program. So we do have that campus needs assessment. We actually work with all of our staff, with some district personnel. We even pull some of our families into it to just look at our data, to analyze some of that, and then we create our campus improvement plan, which is a plan that we make with some goals that are aligned to the district's strategic plan. And it just gives us a vision and a focus for where we are headed based on the data alone. And so it also gives us the opportunity to think through how we're going to allocate some of our Title I funding and other funding that we receive from the state and federal governments. It also requires that we provide our staff with high quality professional development opportunities that are based around Title I information and making sure that they feel empowered to support all of our students and they know what resources are available to them. We also have certain resources and strategies that we work with the district to help us retain highly qualified teachers. And so not just to hire, but to keep our highly qualified teachers on campus. We also ensure that our instructional methods are really rooted in how to support all students, but specifically students who may be living in some of those economically disadvantaged households, because we do know that there are some environmental unique challenges that our students might be experiencing outside of school. And so our priority is to understand and really focus as a campus on how we're going to remove those barriers for our students to learning and how we can utilize some of the funding and resources that we have to make sure that anything that we are able to provide for our students happens in a way that anybody can receive it without having to worry about additional funding or additional time outside of school. And then we also have our preschool program, our pre-K program here on campus. We have pre-K 3 for our 3-year-olds, pre-K 4 for our 4-year-olds, and then we have ELE, which is a program for students who qualify with a diagnosis or disability, who are able to get pre-K services at 3 or 4 years old. And so that is in support of being a Title I program as well. And then we also have just some greater decision-making authorities as a school to help improve our student performance. So for example, having Miss Medford here with us, we also get some state comp ed funds that we can utilize, that we've utilized this year to hire an additional tutor on our campus, Miss Linda Victor. And so she supports students who are at risk as well. So that way, that's part of that removing barriers for our students to learning. And then we also will talk a little bit about how we also get funding for parent and family engagement experiences. So we are required as a Title I campus to utilize funding to ensure that our families are able to engage in the learning that's happening on campus. And so what we do is we have certain activities, certain programs, certain clubs sometimes that our students are allowed to participate in and encouraged to participate in with the combination and support of families. And so we are able to sometimes use this funding to get some academic information into families' hands. Last year, we bought books. We bought a book pack of 10 books, 5 fiction, 5 nonfiction, and a comprehension journal to send home with families at the end of the school year. So that way their children could keep reading while they were at home. We identified the students who needed that based on their data. And so we make a lot of data informed decisions, but really that parent and family engagement piece is to ensure that we can have those continuous efforts to involve you all in your child's learning and show them that we have this partnership, make sure that you have those resources at home as well. And that's for every student, every family on our campus, not just students who live in economically disadvantaged households. Some other requirements that we have, and we try to go above and beyond always, but these are just the baseline requirements that we have, is to convene an annual meeting. That's what this is. We want to meet with you to explain Title I, to make sure that you have an idea of what those requirements are, what you are entitled to as a parent of a child who attends a Title I school, and how we support throughout the school year. And so we have this annual meeting. We will have another one in the spring as well. And we will always offer a number of different meetings. So we're doing this one virtually. We know that that's pretty convenient for a lot of families, but also we'll have one in person tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. That's before our PTA meeting if you're able to join. And at that in-person meeting, we'll be looking at how we can partner with you to just help improve our Title I programming here and getting the appropriate information that makes sense to families out into families' hands. And then, of course, we also have that parent involvement policy in our compact, which is just the information that we have on our website right now. We update that with parents and families every year, and it just tells families what we are, who we are, and how we support our students. Some additional family and parent engagement requirements is that we, of course, let you know that we are a Title I school. We did get some of that information in your welcome packets at the beginning of the school year, but it's also posted on our homepage on our website. If you ever want to look at the parent and family engagement policy or the compact that we have, we highly recommend you read through that. Just some bite-sized information about what a Title I school is. We also ensure that you have access to what our state assessments do, what information students are tested on with their TEKS, their standards, and their curriculum that they will be receiving. And then we also ensure that you have information about what those proficiency levels are for your students and what you'll be seeing on the report cards. We also ensure that we keep an open line of communication with you all to just help us help your children, right? And so we really want to make sure throughout the year we'll be sending out some feedback surveys that are specific to some of the Title I elements that we have on our campus. And you'll see those coming out soon for our beginning of the year parent engagement survey. And we just ask that you share with us what you know about being a Title I campus and what you would like to know more about. And so that way we can guide our engagement efforts throughout the year. We also will hold parent-teacher conferences at least in the beginning of the year, and then the end of the year, we do student-led conferences. But of course, anytime during the year, we encourage our families to reach out to the teacher or the teacher to reach out to the family and keep that open line of communication about the progress of your children. But we will have those parent-teacher conferences coming up in October. So your teacher should have sent out a sign-up sheet. Make sure you get signed up. Every family will have the opportunity to come in person for that conference. We also provide reports, progress reports to you. You should have gotten those home yesterday. That happens midway through each of our 9-week blocks. And so that'll just give you an update about how your child is progressing. And it'll always come with a little comment about what your child is doing in the classroom. We always love our volunteers. We want participation. We encourage you to be here on campus with us. And so please, please always reach out. See what you can do in the classroom, what you can do around the campus. We want you here and involved in your child's learning because we know that that partnership is so powerful for ensuring that your students are successful while here on campus. We also make sure that you have resources at home to help continue supporting your child academically, socially, emotionally. And then we make sure that you get information about everything that we've discussed in various different languages. And so we ensure that all of our communication is translated into Spanish as well. But then also whenever we send out information about the campus, then we will make sure that it's translated into a language that is needed for you. We also are required to notify parents about some specific things that other campuses that are not Title I schools may not have to notify families about. So the first one is about the professional qualifications of your child's teacher. You'll get all of this information at the end of this month. And so if a teacher is going through an alternative certification program, or they're still working toward a degree, which we see pretty frequently, we support a lot of our teachers that are finishing up their degree and they're getting that hands-on experience. And so you'll get information about that. You'll also always be able to get notified about your achievement level for your child. We try to provide printed copies for you about their MAP scores, their ISIP scores, their progress reports. So that way having access to a computer is not a barrier. And then we also will reach out to you if your child has been taught for 4 or more consecutive weeks by a teacher who's not highly qualified, which means they don't hold a teaching certification yet. So long-term sub, a teacher who's in an alternative certification program that's going through that process, or a teacher who is certified but not in the subject or the grade level that they are teaching at that time. So here's the next steps for us this year. We have done that very last one, that CNA, that's that campus needs assessment, and the campus improvement development collaboration. We create that at the end of the year prior, and then we solidify it with our staff at the beginning of the school year. And so we've got that ready, and it's going to be shared with communities. Every campus improvement plan is public knowledge, and you can find it on our Leander ISD website. But we'll also be able to talk through that tomorrow at our in-person meeting. And then at our in-person meeting tomorrow, we encourage you to join us if you can. We'll also be looking at that compact that we mentioned. It's on our website, and we'll be asking for feedback to help us adjust that and make any changes for this school year. We did look at that at the end of the school year last year before we made it public, but we do want to make sure that you have the opportunity this year as our current families to make any adjustments or changes to that. And then we work as a staff to have a community parent engagement plan that's developed for the entire school year. In your welcome bag, you did receive a list of all of our events that are happening this school year. And a part of that is our parent and family engagement nights. And so you'll see that we have family nights that are PTA hosts, and we collaborate with them a lot to be able to provide that academic lens into what's happening. We also will have some inquiry nights throughout the year where we'll be able to utilize our inquiry labs and really flip the learning so your children are teaching you what it means to be an inquiry learner. And then we will have other opportunities for just some academic support with some curriculum nights, or really helping to create videos, create resources that we can send home to help you continue the learning outside of school with your child. So that is all that we have at this time. We would love to answer any questions that you have. Miss Medford is able to answer some questions that we may not have the answer to right away. She's very knowledgeable in this, but we can answer any questions that you have. If we don't know the answer, we'll get that information for you. So you're welcome to drop it in the chat. You're welcome to unmute yourself, raise your hand, whatever's most convenient for you. Something in the chat. Oh.
Of course. Absolutely.
Thank you all so much for your time. If you don't have any questions, we do thank you again for being here. There was a form for you to fill out if you're able to access it that was sent in the chat at the beginning. It's pinned at the top of the chat box, and it's just 3 quick questions, so that way we can thank you for your time today.
Can you put that again in the bottom of the chat
Absolutely.
for us, so that I think then they can not have to scroll maybe?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be super helpful. There we go. Thanks. We're so grateful that you guys were here today, that all of you have joined us and stuck with us even through our technical difficulties. If you do have any questions, I put in the chat my email and my phone number. I would love to chat with you, have coffee with you, hear from you, and I'll be sure to get back with you about any questions you have or ways that we can support your students.
All right. If there are no questions, everybody go ahead and have a great rest of your Thursday. And we look forward to talking with y'all soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.